Good morning again on this fourth day of the new year. I had to scramble a little bit this morning because even though I was awake from about 2 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, or it was only around 3 o'clock maybe, that I began to get an inkling of what I was going to talk about. And I thought, well, um, I think I'll wait till 4:44 to start. And, like 10 minutes later, they said, or I felt, no, put it up now because it's at 3:33 because that'll be a 9 and it'll be the completion of this scam that they're pulling. Anyway, that brings me to my title. Um, Fiscal Cliff, a made in DC movie. Yes, the entire Fiscal Cliff drama playing out in mainstream media is the U.S. and in the U.S. and probably around the world is just a movie. I put is and it should be in, and I got to change it. It's a fictitious drama starring Obama and his cast of treasonists trying to sell the world on the lie that somehow the government is running out of money. The truth is, they have no money. All they have is a Ponzi scheme based on debt, borrowing from private international banks, which is treason in itself, where the interest, money that has never been created, debt, has overwhelmed the system and revealed the scam for those with eyes to see beyond the rhetoric. Maybe not fast enough for some of us, but the world is catching on to the charade. I chuckle because if you understood a little bit about the whole system, the whole matrix game, you'd realize what a laughable charade, a laughable it's a comedy playing itself out as a drama. They try to make it serious, and it's not serious. The government never, ever, ever was required to borrow money from any bankers. Ever. That's the root of the scam begins right there. That the bankers convinced people in government that they had to borrow money from them to wage their wars, usually, which is another scam. But we're not going to get into that scam today. The fiscal scam is that the bankers created a debt system. If you look at the US dollar, and probably it's the same with euros and currencies in other countries, it is a debt instrument. It's not money. They stole all the things of value a long time ago, or at least they thought they had them all. Actually, that's not even true, because there have been honest people, if you can believe that, behind the scenes that have actually been playing a different game and marching to a different drummer. And that's for the good of humanity, because that's ultimately where we're going. We're going into a world that is based on truth. What a concept, huh? Instead of lies, as in the Fiscal Cliff made in DC movie. It's just a bunch of lies piled on top of lies, piled on top of more lies, and it's all fraud, and it's all treason by the United States government, and it's a game that not just the United States government plays, but the governments in Europe, and the governments in Asia, and the governments in Latin America, and the governments in Australia, New Zealand, and all around the world, the governments play this stupid charade of legal manipulation of numbers, because it's not really even currency. Governments create currency, banks create debt instruments, and the whole debt instrument thing is a fraud. In fact, I read yesterday that, I don't know if it's new information or if it's a repeat of old information, but the Supreme Court in Michigan ruled, and I don't have it in front of me, it just came back to mind, but they ruled that all of the mortgages, and was what, 60 something billion dollars worth of mortgages, uh, were all fraudulent and uncollectible because they hadn't produced the chain of title, which is necessary to prove that they own anything, and they didn't do that, and that's Michigan law. So they ruled against uh, uh, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, but it implicated five major banks that it named: Chase, um, um, oh God, the Chase, uh, Bank of America, Citibank, uh, Morgan Stanley, and Bear Stearns. I think those were the five, if I remember right, and 27 unnamed banks were implicated in this scam of not following the law. I told you, it's a scam. This whole money thing is a scam. And when my friend Steve tries to carp on money is the problem, well, the monetary system is a scam. And yes, it's something we've got to get rid of. We've got to get rid of money as debt because that doesn't work. To drive the point home a little bit further, one of my friends sent me an email yesterday from a web page called tigerdroppings.com, and it's a rant Fiscal Cliff put in a much better perspective. You can Google that if you want. I'm not going to put the link in there. It's a small, very short, small article. Um, and it's from January the 2nd, and it's lesson 1. And it lists in rounded off numbers the U.S. tax revenue, the federal budget, the new debt being added in the new budget, the total national debt as it exists so far, and recent budget cuts. Now, let's move the decimal point 8 places over, or as they say, let's remove 8 zeros and pretend it's a household budget. And I'm actually reading this from the other computer screen. Suppose your annual family income is $21,700, or you can denominate it any way you wish. And your family spends $38,200. That means you have new debt of $16,500 created in 1 year. Insane, isn't it? But you have an outstanding balance of debt of $142,710. That's astronomical. How many times does 21,000 go into 142,000? 7 times. So your debt, 7? No, it's more than 7, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's about 7 times. Your debt is 7 times your annual income. It's insane. But you make budget cuts to help ease the problem. So you cut $38.50 from your budget. That's what just happened with this fiscal cliff maneuver. Can you see the insanity of what they're doing? Now, they're talking about raising the debt ceiling. But when you realize you've got all this, your sewage system failed and the sewage is rising inside of your house. And so you decide that, well, we better raise the ceilings. We better have the contractors come in here and give us higher ceilings because these 8-foot ceilings don't work anymore. They're not high enough to contain all the crap of the backup of the sewage. Wouldn't it be better to get somebody to pump out the sewage? I mean, that's the kind of thinking we have in the Matrix. And it's the kind of scam that we need to wake up and see. There is no shortage of money. In fact, Hennigan said there is no fiscal cliff, and he has part one, part two, and he says there's a 1.5 trillion dollars representing the final implement of the Wanta Reagan Mitterrand protocol funds now sitting in the coffins of the U.S. Treasury. That's $1.5 trillion. It is unknown at this time if Barack Obama has complied with the U.S. Supreme Court order and transferred the funds from the U.S. Treasury to the IRS. It is also unclear if the IRS has received funds since the IRS computer system is allegedly down for repairs until January the 2nd. I mean, I'm telling you folks, when you get the reports of what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't like everything in some of the reports, and I'm not even going to put the link to Hennigan. You can look it up yourself if it may resonate with you. Parts of it resonate with me, but parts of it to me don't. But it's Heneghan. You Google his name again, Heneghan, and you'll probably get his international intelligence report. He's supposed to be an international intelligence expert. He probably, I don't know enough information to make that statement. But anyway, there's all sorts of facts being revealed about the scam, which puts the scam in a laughable mode. I mean, it is a comedy being worked out as these people scramble to try to keep their house of cards from falling. And they're doing everything that they know how to do and playing every trick in the book that they've learned how to play over the decades and centuries in recent history of human development. And they're moving these chairs around on the deck of the Titanic, which wasn't really the Titanic. That was another made for public consumption drama. It was actually a different ship altogether that sunk. But that's another story also. Folks, we have been lied to and lied to and lied to over and over and over again because the matrix has been built on programming of the lie, and they have programmed us to remain stupid, to remain ignorant, to remain complacent, to, when there's a problem, to cry out for the government, fix it, fix it. The government long ago stopped being a legitimate government in the United States and around the world. They stopped being legitimate governments. A government is a public trust. So is a corporation. So is a banking charter, a public trust. There are rules that you have to play by, but they don't play by those rules. It's all racketeering. It's all a mafioso type of operation where it's organized crime at the highest levels. And Obama, I mean, I'm giving up on Obama. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and that would be wonderful. But at this point in time, I mean, I watched the video of his birth certificate stuff yesterday, and there's I think it was 7 or 8 layers of the document. And how they figured that out, I have no idea. But the last layer was the green backing of his birth certificate, and they showed how the things were added at different times in the layers of the document that was released electronically, and the certain things were movable. You could move the signatures and the stamp and the date and stuff like that out and put them outside of the document. They were not fixed in the document itself. The document was a fraud based on law, on the expert of the law, who were commissioned to look at the document and determine its authenticity or fraudulence. And it was fraud. That's treason, folks. That's treason. Fraud against the public is the worst kind of treason because it's a betrayal of public trust. And everybody in our national government here in the United States, everybody pretty much has committed treason, with very few exceptions. I mean, I probably have some fingers left over, as I said in the interview yesterday on on that wonderful interview with Lisa from Great Britain, uh, I probably would have fingers left over to name the people in Washington that remain integrable after going into office. I mean, they've all committed treason pretty much. Ron Paul was an example that tried his best not to commit treason, and there were others like Dennis Kucinich who were also in that category, and there probably were maybe a few others, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Even if they go to Washington with good intentions, they get sucked in to the charade and to the made for public consumption movie that the elite are trying to sell the world. But its product is no longer marketable, and their game is no longer sustainable. It's collapsing. The house of cards is coming down. Now, I don't know how many weeks or months, hopefully it doesn't go into years, it's going to take before it finally collapses. They keep propping it up. They keep bringing in more. They keep making the movie more ridiculous, but they try to be serious about it. They try to make the comedy into an actual drama and make us believe that governments really are broke when the CAFR funds or the comprehensive annual financial reports of these government organizations reveal vast surpluses of investment income that they don't report in the public budget that they talk about. And when they talk about budget shortfalls, they're not talking about all the money they make in the Wall Street investment scams that they have going on. I mean, it's scam on top of scam on top of scam on top of scam, and it's time for the people of the world to wake up. Oh my goodness, I've went over 17 minutes and didn't even realize it. Well, I guess I'm close to being finished then, ain't I, for today? Oh, I hope you hear what I'm saying and investigate. I don't have all the answers, but I look at things. I look at things. And yes, some of it is information, some of it's disinformation. You've got to weigh in your gut which that is if you decide to look at these things for yourself. I'm doing my best to tell the truth as I understand it. I thank you for listening. Namaste. Oh dear.